Hello, loves. What is CEO John's plot? Are James and Diep's family in danger? James sat in the large classroom. Cold eyes. Look towards the shareholders and partners ahead. Your company is preparing to invest in a large hydroelectric dam project, a strategic project, and has the potential to bring huge profits. We have completed the financial statements and geological survey. This is a golden opportunity. James set his eyes scanning each face. One of the major shareholders, Mr. Tran, pondered. James, I have no doubt about your plan. But there is a rumor that there is a force that is quietly withdrawing capital from this project. If we invest without knowing the AI behind the manipulation, it is too risky. Groan frown. AI withdrawal did it. No AI answer. But just then James's secretary walked in. Give him a document. James quickly flipped through it and said in a low voice, our largest shareholder, Skigup Group, has just officially withdrawn all capital. And soon after, a series of small shareholders also withdrew. The whole conference room fell silent. James clenched his fists. That AI is trying to sabotage your company. James sat pensively in his office, twirling his pen. I know if I don't find out who is behind it, your company will collapse soon. He holds the phone. Call a trusted person in the investment world. I want you to help me with something game talk. Invest a large amount of capital in Kier Company, but only temporarily, when the person thinks he can manipulate. Let's withdraw our capital immediately. I want to see AI show its face. The other side was silent for a moment and then agreed. James leaned back in his chair. This is the only way to force the hidden person to come out into the light. A week later, James received the news. Sure enough, when new investment poured in, the mysterious Kier force begins to react. That evening, the goat sat alone in the classroom waiting. The door opened and a figure walked in. James looked up, and his heart sank when he saw that person. The man who used to be homeless, used to stand on the roadside playing the guitar. Now he entered the classroom with a leisurely manner, sharp eyes. John smiled faintly, very surprised. Saw James. James clenched his fist. You are the one behind this. John nodded. I am the one who withdrew from your project, put his whole company in danger. James stood up. Why do you want? John walked slowly towards James with cold eyes. I want your family to pay. James was stunned. To pay the price for what? James smiled bitterly. It seems like your father never told you about my family past. James squinted. I feel there's something very serious behind this. James returned home to face his father. Father and son need to know the truth, he said seriously. James's father Tran sighed, his eyes becoming distant. John is the son of the Lamb family. They used to own the land, which is now the city's largest financial center. James wondered what his father was saying. Father James closed his eyes. Many years ago, our company used tricks to force Lamb's family sell land at dirt cheap price. When they lost everything, Don's parents both died of shock. He became homeless and now he is back for revenge. James felt like the world was falling apart. I thought John was just a jealous man, wanted to fight for the Diep. But it turns out, it was just a small part of a much larger revenge plan. John didn't just want to beat him. He wants to destroy his whole family. Diep sat quietly next to James, holding his hand. You are not my father, James. I am not at fault for what happened in the past. James smiled faintly, his eyes empty. But he is paying the price for his family's mistakes. Diếp squeezed his hand tightly. Then we will fight. I can't let John ruin everything. James looked at her with a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Will you be with me? Diếp nodded. Always. James took a deep breath. If John wants war, he will fight to the end. James began planning a counterattack. He used his connections to find out about John. James discovered this company has a major financial weakness. He secretly cooperated with a large corporation to attack. This weakness puts John in a dangerous situation. When he realized his situation, we tried to fight back, but it was too late. One day, Dung walked into James's office. Cold eyes. What did you do? James smiled slightly. I just pay you back what you did to me. John clenched his fists but could do nothing. This time James won. But the war between them is not really over. John sat in his office with a dark look in his eyes. Things are not going according to plan. James not only stood his ground after his attack, but also counterattacked sharply. John's corporation began to fail. Important investments. Supply chain severely affected. You clenched your fist, James. You think you can beat me, what? John is not a person who gives up easily. He took out his phone and called a mysterious person. Plans change, I need your help. The voice on the other end of the line was low. What do you want me to do? John smiled coldly, brought James to the brink of real despair. John has gone too far to stop. James did not expect that. His counterattacks angered me again. John to this extent. One morning when he just walked into the office, his secretary rushed in with a panicked face. James, we have a problem. What are you squinting at? All our bank accounts have been frozen. Trading system also attacked. We cannot pay any contracts. James stood up. What did I do? No one knows, but James has a hunch. James clenched his fist. Call Team X, I want to know who is behind this. But before he could act, his phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. This is just the beginning. I will take everything you have. Wait and see. The gamer staring at the phone screen. James has taken action. In the next few days, James' company fell into real crisis. Not just a financial problem, but the rumors about him also flooded the media. Investors lose confidence. Partners turn their backs. His company is on the brink of collapse. And on the darkest day, when I thought things couldn't get any worse, Lytutien had an accident. He got a call from the hospital. And when you get there, his heart stopped beating when he saw her lying on the hospital bed, pale face, bandaged arm. James rushed to hold her hand tightly. How are you? Diếp gave a weak smile. No problem, just a minor collision. But James knows well, this is not a normal accident. Someone did this on purpose, and he knows exactly who is behind it. John went too far. James sat in the dark, his mind filled with thoughts. John didn't just want to ruin his career. He wanted to take everything away, including the girl he loved. James stood up with a determined look in his eyes. If this is war, I will fight to the end. He can't keep playing defense anymore. Time to act. James began his counterattack plan ruthlessly. He used his connections to track down John's finance, and he discovered something important. John's group is involved in an illegal transaction. If this information gets out, John will lose everything. James immediately contacted an investigative reporter. Provide all the evidence you have collected. Not long after that, a sensational article was published. John Enterprise Group is involved in a major financial scandal. CEO John faces investigation. John was angry. James, what did he do? James just smiled coldly. I just did what you did to me. Now we are even. John gritted his teeth. You think I will stop? James looked him straight in the eye, but neither did I. The battle between them is not over yet. After months of confrontation, finally everything came to an end. John is officially under investigation, and investors withdrew their capital one by one. His corporation collapsed beyond repair. James wasn't happy, he just felt empty. John was once a talented man. One could have gone the other way, if not for hatred. But he chose the wrong path, and this is the price to pay. Diếp grabbed James's hand, and it was finally over. James nodded and squeezed her hand. Yes, but we still have a long way to go. They lost a lot, but also learned a lot. And now they will start over together. Please leave a comment